Cool. So today the theme of the class is still lives, right? You all know what still lives are, I think, right? Hopefully, if not, you'll have a much better idea today. Where we left off was something like this. We were just making some bottles, so we're going to jump back in here and add a lot more to the scene and make it a lot more interesting. So this artist of the day, we're gonna look at her in a minute, but let's just look at some more like classic ideas of still lives. And so before we even do that, there's a few things to really think about when looking at these still lives. Still lives are all about lighting and composition. So the big takeaway from all this stuff is about composing and lighting your scene to draw people in, to make it interesting, to tell a story, to set a mood. All those things are things that I want everybody to have thought about before we start animating, because these are things that you think about, you set up the scene, and then you animate it, right? So we're kind of getting prepared to set up a scene, if that makes sense. So let's look like Dutch Golden Age painting. So this is like 1600s in Netherlands, right? So this is kind of like the classic idea of what a still life is, right? So these were painters that were just studying how to compose a scene, how lighting works, right? So you can see like in this image, you can see there's lighting coming from a window, right? They didn't have electricity back in these days, so they would have to set up the still lives by a window and paint them throughout the day, and probably the lighting would change too. So this was kind of I'm not sure exactly how they did it, to be honest. But notice too, like they're considering empty space just as much as they're considering the space with things in it. So we kind of almost have like a 50-50 split here, right? And notice this pot is pointing to the right, so it's off toward the left, right? So there's little tricks like that, and also this is from a very human point of view. Like you can picture yourself kind of like bending down and looking at these things, right? Maybe bending down and like grabbing some food or something like that, right? So it's not hovering way over it awkwardly. It's like very composed on there. And notice also, see how this table is straight? It's parallel with the bottom. Just like in our Blender image, this table is straight. It's parallel with my image, right? And please, guys, I know maybe you're a little shy to be in the recording, but oh, probably you need an invite. I'm sorry. But please chime in if you have any questions, comments. Please chime in. I've never done this like this. Usually this is much more of like a conversation than me just kind of talking. Similarly, you can see, pay attention like the light. So the light is coming, you can tell which direction it's coming from, right? Well, there, down there, it gives it away, right? So it's coming from the left, right? And the right is dark. So these are things maybe you haven't noticed when you're walking around a museum or looking at pictures online or something. You don't really think about where the light's coming from, but it's when you're an artist and you're composing these images, it's a huge consideration, and it really helps to kind of set a mood, right? So here we go with this. So this could be like, some of these could be good to look at. The homework is obviously to make a still life. So you can make one that's very classic. Like this, like a more classically themed still life. Certainly that artist we looked at on Tuesday, Takashi Murata, he's kind of riffing off these more classic still lives, right? So like, you remember, oh, there was his skull image. Where was that? Here we go. All right. So here is something from the 1600s, here's something from the 21st century, right? So art builds on itself, right? So you can be inspired by what came before you. So it's always nice to kind of like think about those things and be inspired by them. And learn from them, really. Like this is the best teacher, just by looking at things. Right? See the composition? It's really, they're thinking about, where is it? Empty space. This image. Okay, we have like a nice balance of empty space and space with objects. So today also we're going to learn how to do a little bit of cloth, which would be cool. Okay, so maybe like this was like really, these paintings are interesting for me because this is the first time in humanity, I guess, that people made paintings just, well, the first time in like the recorded history anyway, that people made paintings just to make them and sell them later. Before this, previously, mostly artwork was commissioned by a religious institution or by a government institution or something like that. But in 1600s in Netherlands, there were many painters who just started making things kind of for fun and then selling them on a market, like at art galleries and stuff like that. So that was kind of the first instance of that happening. And now it's a major international thing. Okay, what else did I want to look at? So let's look. So that was 1600s. Let's go. That was like more Renaissance classic painting. Let's go move up a little more to modern painting. Now, when I say modern, I don't mean nowadays. That's contemporary. Modernism is something that happened kind of like, I don't know when, like a little after World War One, up until like the 60s, maybe early 60s, like maybe until the 50s. This is all very subjective stuff, but it's modernism is mostly like the first half of the 20th century. So in modernism, people, we had cameras now, so you didn't have to paint photorealistically. So you could really kind of set a mood a little more. So this is a really famous still life painter, Morandi. And so I think his things would be cool to turn into kind of blender compositions, especially a lot of these bottles, right? He has like a lot of variations. But it really sets this kind of like calm mood. I really like how this red just kind of like jumps out. So he's thinking about composition a little more than lighting, I would say, right? But you can still see there's shadows, right? You can't tell as much maybe where the lighting is coming from. Because when he painted these two, it was 1952, there was electricity, he probably had everything pretty evenly lit. But this also feels like it was like in the middle of the day. Anyway, check out some of these when you're working on your homework. And then also the most famous modernist who kind of went into postmodernism, I guess, Picasso. So here's like a totally different take. Picasso went through a lot of different phases, from something like this to something much more abstract like this. Something like this. So when he was younger, so here, he was born in, I think, 1889. So he was like, not even 30 yet, kind of studying. But then once he got much older, painting evolved a lot. Okay, so here we have that skull again, right? Classic still life thing. So that's a little more advanced to model, but if anyone wants to take on that challenge of modeling a skull, there's a lot of tutorials on that. So this is more if you want to get more abstract with your still life. It's totally up to you. You can take a lot of different paths. Right? This is pretty cool. So you can mess around with perspective too, right? Cubism. You can really play around with different shapes, moving them around to kind of like give a fake perspective. Right? And then the artist we're going to look at today, Bernice Goldman. Here's her Instagram. And like I say, anytime you see an artist that you like, follow them on social media, see what they're up to, right? So she works, this artist works more, I think for a living, she works in like marketing, advertising, stuff like that, a graphic designer, right? She's like a graphic designer. But I think for fun, on her off time, she does her own stuff, which I think is really cool. Super pretty. But I think it's good for this kind of, yeah, see this in like graphic design work. For this project, I think it's pretty cool. Just to think about still lives in a bit of a different way. There's kind of like more our homework assignment that we do on Tuesday is something more like this. She does these. I really like these. She kind of makes up these fake science rigs or something, right? These are really cool little still lives too, right? And look, the same consideration with light, with composition that we saw in those Dutch paintings from the 1600s. Right? So even though this is a fake window, it's still there lighting the scene. All right, so that's an artist for sure to check out. I think students have found her stuff pretty inspiring. The one series I really want to show you guys, it's pretty cool. These, I like these. So this is a cool way to, right, so we're going to make a table and put some stuff on a table. But you don't have to make a table. That's just what I'm doing for an example because that's like the classic way to set something up. But you could also make like a rack and just put stuff on it. So I really like these. And eventually, once we start animation, we do stuff like this. So this is cool, and this is just like what we've been doing, like loop cuts and extruding, right? And you can make this kind of like really weird rack thing. So I've had students just kind of like riff off this idea of building a rack and putting items on it, right? It doesn't have to be recognizable items. You could totally go for an abstract route. Is one going to be broken? That's cool. So like I was saying, there's hair modifiers in any 3D program. If you are feeling more advanced, you can check that out. Cool. All right, so that's just to like frame a little bit what we're about to do, right? And just to be clear, for those students, does anyone join us who doesn't? No, you all have computers. But for the students who don't have computers, lighting and composition is something you can do in any art medium. This is like a foundation of making visual images. It's thinking about how they're lit, how they're composed. It doesn't matter if it's 3D software or not. So you can totally do this homework really in any way you want. Even if you're a bad drawer and you don't have Blender, you could set up a still life in your apartment, light it, and take pictures with your cell phone. That'd be fine. Whatever you want to do, as long as I see you're thinking about these two things, lighting and composing. It's super, super important, super foundational. And then when we critique your assignments like this, these are the two considerations we're going to make. Is it evenly lit, or is the lighting like setting a mood? And how is it composed? Does the composition turn us away or draw us in? Is it balanced? And all those types of things. Okay. Any questions about any of this? Poppy, are you in now? Are you guys seeing the stream? Cool. It says 3 people are in, so I think all 3 of you, hopefully Poppy can... I'll check, the recording's working. Okay. I'll just keep going. Keep this one almost the weekend. I'm trying to keep it a little brief, but this is a fun one. This is my favorite stuff really in 3D software is lighting and kind of like composing, putting together an image. It's like you've done the hard work of the modeling, right? Because there's like so many technical steps in modeling, and then once that's all done, you get to put it all together and make it look really pretty. So this is like, for me, at least this is the thing I really like more than anything. So this is where we left off. We made some bottles. We put a light in, put them on the table. Let's just kind of quickly review this technique because I didn't see. It'd be great, you guys, if you kind of like take this time after I talk to then have the lab time and try to go until like 11:30, and then you can post up anything you're doing here in Discord, right? So if you made a battle on Tuesday, do a quick render and post it up here so I can see that you're on track. Because this is really hard for me to gauge where people are at. All I'm going off of is the homework. I've only gotten like 4 or 5 homework assignments, so I don't know. We might have to slow it down and figure something else out. But let's review really quick this kind of method. So I'm going to take this scene collection actually and just hide the whole thing. Now I'll make a new one, and I'm going to do something in this one later. I'm going to get out of my camera. So remember, all this we learned on Tuesday comes from a circle. Okay? So we tab. Oh wait, I can turn on my thing. Okay, so we tab into edit mode. Okay, I'm going to hit 1 so I can see the points. EZ. So I think the problem with this is it's not showing the second key, which is pretty important. So we're really going off of EZ, ES to pull in. That's really the extent of this whole technique. EZ, S, ES, EZ. Right? And you can just start making like ES. You could also pull up G and Z. ES, EZ. Oops, wrong one. EZ. You can just start to make like whatever. And then also don't forget I can right click and do shade smooth. Also we learned you can add a subdivision surface modifier. And then really start, right? So now I have some weird abstract looking pot. ES, EZ. Right? So you can start to like make some weird looking cool things. One thing I forgot to mention on Tuesday. So when I was closing this hole, I did ES, 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 ES0, enter, right click, merge vertices by distance, tab out, right? And now that looks nice and clean. I didn't explain why I have to do it that way. So let me just show you. If I say ES0, right click, merge vertices by distance, you'll notice that looks like really nasty. That's because there's no geometry for the subdivision to like pull from. So you need to make sure when you're closing things, you give it some geometry. Looks like I got one out of place there. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did. Okay. Anyway. Oh yeah, I made this one. Let's make a bowl really quick, just to add to our still life. So I'm going to add a circle. Right. So if you remember the keystrokes on the number pad, I'm going to hit 1, tab into edit mode. I'm going to say E, Z, S, E, Z, S, E, Z, S. Now maybe I can start to close it. E, S. Hit 1 again. Now I'm going to go into wireframe so you can see inside. E, Z, S, E, Z, S, E, Z, S. Now close it up. E, S, E, S, E, S, 0. Enter. Right click. Merge vertices by distance. Now I'll do that same thing here. This is the thing I really want you all to practice today, is this kind of closing up of these circles, because it's got the most steps, but the more you do it, the easier it is, and then you can really start to work fast. E, S, E, S. And now I'm just typing this. So E, you can hear me, F, 0, enter. Right click, merge vertices by distance. Okay, now we got a bowl. I'm gonna right click, shade smooth, cool. And let's make it pretty, subdivision surface. Cool, so maybe now once you add that subdivision, you can go in also and edit a little more. So if you remember loop select, Alt, left click, S to scale. So now that lip can be a little bigger. I could also add another loop cut, Control R, pull it up really close so that you can kind of see that lip a little more. Okay? So I could also then like really change this bowl. So I can say scale on Z, pull it up. There we go. All right. And let's give it some material and then we will move along. So I'm going to give it a base material. Let's say it's green. And then just to review, let's make the inside. I'm going to actually hide this. I'm just going to turn it off in the viewport right there. I'm going to select the inside of this bowl. So I'm just Alt. I'm holding down Alt, Shift, and left clicking. And then this last one won't do it, so I'm just going to drag select. Oops, sorry, Shift and drag select. So now the whole inside is selected. Turn this back on now. Material on. New material. I'll make it just white. Cool. So there's like a nice little plastic bowl or something. So this material maybe I could, take the roughness away so it'll be a little shiny. Okay, so let's name this bowl, and I'm gonna put it into my still life collection. This collection I'm actually now gonna rename the studio because now we're gonna start doing the lighting. There's our bowl, is huge. Scale that way down. GZ. Right camera. Good. Scale a little more. Okay. Cool. And of course, I'll let you guys work on this. You can put fruit in there, grapes, lemons, pears, whatever. But our still life, just in the interest of time, I'm gonna keep it pretty simple. Just I don't want to sit here and have on recording me like modeling a million different things. Maybe, no, that's fine. Okay, cool. So here's our still life now. Maybe we want to see in the bowl just a little bit. Tilt the camera up. Okay, so render. That's what we got so far. Okay, cool. The recording, it's still working. Any questions? Nothing. Maybe you guys have gone. Well, anyway, we're recording still. You have a YouTube video. Okay. Let's talk about 3-point lighting. Now, anything you do, if you end up working in film, if you end up being a painter, if you end up working in like commercial photography, this is a very, very basic concept of how to light things, right? So you have a key light, a fill light, and a backlight. This is the super, super standard method of lighting, right? Key, fill, backlight. So I'm now going to take some of these things. So this area light, this would be my key. And I'm going to move this, just grab it, into my studio, as well as my camera. You can actually remember we had this empty of that image of the bottle. It's gone. I deleted it off my computer, so you can delete that. Bottle, bowl, table, cube. What is this? Okay, back wall. So there's our key light. key light is typically the strongest. So we have this, let's put this at 200. I'm going to copy paste. And we'll call this our fill light. I'm just hitting R, RY, RZ. Okay. Now see, let's see, I'm going to fill. I like to color my lights. I think it makes it also so you all can see which light is doing what. And we'll make this one like 150. Now there's no science behind this. There's no right or wrong way. You can pick however you want to do your lights. So what the fill light does, so you'll see with the key light, when we just have a key light, you have these really dark shadows, right? And the fill light just helps to fill those in a little bit. And then lastly, we'll have a back or top light. It's kind of up to you. We have this wall already, so maybe we don't need a backlight. We'll just make like a top. Now the cool thing about 3D software is when you're doing photography or film, these lights have to be off camera. But in 3D software, you know, you can put them wherever, and they're invisible, right? Okay. So let's call this top. Let's see what that does, right? So that kind of helps give a little more interesting shadow. So you can see that pink shadow, which just helps make a more interesting scene. Now those shadows look a little messed up. Let me see if I remember how to make the shadows better. Shadows, cube size, make it higher. Alright, so this makes the shadows a bit nicer. Now in Eevee, you can get glass. I'm not going to get too much in the shaders, so I don't really like how this looks. So let's change from glass. Let's just change it to glossy, I guess. Add a color, right? Look at all the stuff. I'll hit use nodes, and that'll give us all the options. Here we go. Oh, glossy. That's all we get because we're in glossy now. Should be metallic. Oh, just do, sorry, I'm sorry. Principal BSDF, and this can get us glossy. But all weird. Make a new one. You know what? Trying to get right interesting kind. Okay, so once you have something kind of composed, you have it lit. These are all the same because I copy pasted them, so you can always remove stuff. I like to keep it a little light because that's how the light can bounce off of stuff. It's not speculate, roughness. Take out the roughness. Take out the roughness in this one too. Shiny. Okay. The only thing I want to do now is add a cloth. So this is like a new thing to learn. Yeah, I'm thinking about blank space, right? So we kind of have it harmonious, like 50-50 maybe. This is off to the side. Especially when you have a long image, it's nice to not center things. It looks a little off balance. So let's put a cloth on this table. So we are going to make a cloth just off of a plane. So this is actually going to become a cloth. You'll see. Let me scale it up a little bit. Now the first thing we want to do is, because this is going to be a cloth, we need to have geometry for it to like fold around, right? When I go into edit mode, you'll see this is just one polygon. We can't do anything with that. So this is a new thing called subdivide. So I'm gonna right click, do subdivide, and now we have a number of cuts. Let's just up that to like a lot, 80. If you have an older computer, careful, because you can get some crashes. If you have an older computer, I would recommend maybe starting at like 40 instead of 80. But I'm going to do 80 so we can get a lot of folds. Okay, so now this can fold around. Now I'm going to go into my wrench here. Right? This is where we put that subdivision modifier. I'm going to say add modifier, cloth. Now, not going to apply this yet. So now there's a new tab called physics. So every 3D program has a large component of it is physical simulation. We're not going to get super in-depth with this stuff. A lot of students really like this stuff because it is kind of pretty and looks neat. A lot of particles, water, stuff like that. If you're into this, definitely look it up. There's tons of tutorials on it. It's just very step heavy. Like there's a lot of steps involved. This is the easiest one, which is why we do this one. But yeah, you can totally follow the steps and do it. So let's up the quality maybe to 10. And also I want to make it self-collide so it doesn't fall into itself. And now when I hit play, you'll notice this is going to fall, but nothing's really going to happen. Right? Because we haven't set any of these objects. Oh, I did when I was doing the demo. It would fall right through the table, but I set on this table, I set collision, that's all. So now when I hit play, you'll see it'll fall right through the table. So that was practicing before class, making sure I remembered all these steps. No, pause. So you see already it's slowing down my computer. So I'm going to select this table and hit collision. It falls right through the bottles because we don't have collision on the bottles. And actually, I'll make this a little bigger. So you'll see how it's tick, 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 tick. It's going pretty slow because I have so many subdivisions. There you go. Beautiful. Cloth. And as soon as it's at a place where I like it, I'm going to hit pause. Maybe I'll let it go a little more. Freaking out. There we go. That's pretty good. Okay. Now, of course, this still does not look great because we need to right click, shade smooth, looking better. Last step, if you remember, to make anything look good, subdivision surface. Now, there we go. So I always like to bump it up to 3. It really depends on your computer too. You might never apply this. Cloth, when it's at a nice place, I'm going to hit apply. Right? Because now I can back up and now we don't have that simulation, right? And also, like, I could do anything with this cloth, right? I can like move it around and stuff like that. I'll give it some color. I don't know. Red, and then I'm going to take out any shine, right? It's fabric, so I'm going to make the roughness full. Cool. And there we go. Now this is kind of like maybe more like a Miranda style still life or something, right? You can zoom in. So for homework, I'll have you give me a few different points of view, right? But there's one. Okay. So if you do just something like this, just a few more objects, right? That would be cool. Now this is like maybe a little bit boring, right? So I put in the blackboard of Bernice Goldman still life. So this is something much more interesting. If you don't want to do 3-point lighting, you don't necessarily have to. I just want to see that you were considering lighting. So like this is a really cool way to consider lighting. She actually put the lights right in there. Let's see. Making cloth. One more thing, I do want to show you guys a more advanced topic. So this is one way of doing lighting, by just putting the lights in there with 3-point lighting. Actually, let's see really quick how this looks like this. So if you have a faster like gaming computer, you can render these out in cycles. I wouldn't do any animation in cycles, but for this assignment, it could be kind of fun. Yeah, my bottles. Please pay attention to this, right? You don't want your stuff like sinking in. Okay, so it's up to you if you want to do cycles or EV. EV's just gonna cause you a lot less stress. Okay, let's just talk really quickly about composition. Right, so you'll notice like this, now this is cut off, so you don't want to do anything like that. Centering something exactly usually doesn't look super great, right? Crunching anything into one corner doesn't look great. Like a lot of times students take their camera and like have these weird rotations, something like this, right? What's going on there? I don't know. Make sure your lines are parallel. So you see in this camera, you can make sure your rotations are set. Right? I just want to look a little into their bowl. So really, like the best way, it's so hard to teach composition, especially on the internet like this. But the best way to do it is just look at stuff. So look at those, like, just look at the masters of this stuff and see how they compose things, and just mimic it. It's fine. Nothing wrong. You're trying to learn, so there's nothing wrong with just looking at this stuff. Okay, the last thing I wanted to do. So if this is enough for you, you can stop here. But I do want to show one slightly more advanced thing students tend to like and want to know about. And that is a different way of lighting the scene using something called HDRI images. So these are images you can download from the internet, and it wraps around your entire scene and then uses these lights in the image to light your scene. So sometimes you can use, I usually will do like a mixture of both. There's a free place to download these, HDRI Haven. I don't know why that link didn't take. So we can do studio, right? Because we're kind of setting up a studio. And they show you these little balls down here is how the studio does the lighting. So I don't know what's the next one. Basic kind of one, right? So you don't need anything super big. 4K is already pretty huge. So you download it. I actually have one downloaded already. So that's in my download folder. Okay, now to set this up is a little weird. I'm going to pull out another window, and I'm going to go to shader editor right here. Hit N, make that go away. So we're not shading objects, we're shading world. And you'll see right now our world is just a gray background. Okay. So I'm going to add texture, environment texture. And I'm going to connect that to the background. And then I'm going to open in my downloads folder. Downloads. I have Studio Small right here, this HDRI. So I'm going to open that. Okay. And now I'm going to turn off my lights. Off, off, off. Close this. And I'm going to render it. Right? It's like it's lit. Okay. Now it's pretty bright. So you could try some different HDRIs, or just like, also you can mess around with the materials. Okay, so maybe you want like a darker studio, something like that. You know, and then you could also do a combo of lighting and the HDRI. Let's see. HDRIs really give nice gloss to things, right? Which is why I think students tend to really like these. So when you really take out all the roughness, it can kind of help get there we go. I added a little bit of metallic through there, so you can really start to get some pretty nice glossy things, right? I feel like whenever you first learn the software, the first thing people want to do is just make the shiniest stuff possible, which I did the same thing. Let's turn on a few more lights. There we go. So let's see, without the HDRI, let's see what it looks like. Oops, shit. So to take this out, I just, right? So it's not as shiny because these are reflective and they only have those lights to reflect. The HDRI, as I was saying, wraps around the entire scene so that reflective things have a lot more to reflect. Right? Okay, so just to review, once you're all done with your still life, it's composed how you want it. Let's see, we need some of that fabric in there, right? One thing I don't want to see is like this gray area, right? So make sure you have like your whole scene in the camera. All right, so now I'm just going to go to render image, and there it is, right? So this is a pretty boring one, but obviously it's time sensitive. You don't want to watch me do this forever. So for homework, you're going to do 3 different points of view because I really want you thinking about composition. So this would be one. Maybe I want to try one where I zoom out a little more. Right. So now my back wall is no good. So I'm going to say SX. Kind of fill that in. Right? And you know, you can also think about color and stuff like that. So maybe I want to try this one not black. Let's try a white wall. Okay, so do as many as you want. Ultimately, I just want to see 3 of them, right? So typically when I do a render setup, I'll have like, I don't know, 100 images. And then I pick the best one from that set. So I just do at least 3, do more if you want, but put 3 of them on your Tumblr and put those on your webpage. Also, while you're working, if you want to share anything that you're doing, please put it in Discord, because one aspect of this class we don't have right now is that thing where I walk around the room and help you guys out and give you feedback. So I've not been able to do that, and it's really going to be up to you to get that feedback. I can't force you to put stuff in here, but you're going to get better if you get feedback on things before handing it in, right? So I can give you ideas, I can tell you you're doing something wrong or doing something right and do more of that, etc., etc. But I can't do that if you don't take the initiative to put stuff in here. And if you're feeling shy about it, remember you can direct message me. Right? Any user you can direct message. Just right click and say message. Right? So I'm always on Discord. Just right click on my name, message. It'll be a private message, and just say like, hey, here's my bottle. I don't know why it looks all weird right here, or hey, look at this cool thing. I just did this cool lighting technique, and then I'll be like, oh, cool. Check out this artist and try to emulate what they're doing or something like that, right? So really, it'll help you if you take that initiative. I can't force you to do it, but creative, growing as a creative person, you get out of it what you put into it, and that's just kind of like a law, right? And if you don't put much into it, you're just not going to get much out of it. Not that you all are not. You are all trying hard. I see, you've been doing good work. But just as a way to keep growing and getting even better, I really recommend doing that. So I think it's just about everything. The one other thing, part of the homework is don't forget to watch this animation short and make a comment in the discussions. I don't think anyone's done that yet. Oh, some people did. Cool. Nice. Thank you. So don't forget that aspect. Go watch Foam Rider. It's a really fun, quick animation. It's violent. It has drugs on a cartoon level, but so it's entertaining. It's fun. So check that out. All right. Before I sign off, any questions that you all want to put in the chat? Nothing? Well, hopefully this was still working, this stream. Was it working? I'm going to stop.